part for this DIY are colorful yarns. Secondly, you'll need an embroidery hoop, and you can choose whatever size you want. And then you'll need cross-stitch fabric / monk's cloths, because this is the fabric that will work for punch needling, otherwise it will not work. Then you'll need a punch needle, of course, and this comes with this kind of a strip, iron kind of strip. And then you'll need some felt. And last but not the least, you'll also need glue. So firstly, I fixed this fabric in my embroidery hoop, and after I'm done doing that, I used this kind of flower picture, and what I did is to draw it onto a piece of paper so that I can use it as a stencil later on. After cutting it, I just traced it onto my piece of cloth, and you guys can see I'm just using a pencil and tracing it onto the cloth. Now for the main part, you'll need a punch needle, of course, and you guys can see this is how the punch needle is. We used the 5mm one. So the punch needle also came with this iron wire, and I'm just gonna insert it into this punch needle hole, and you guys can see I'm just passing it through so that it just comes out of the end. So now, as you guys can see, the iron strip is coming out of the bottom, and now what we are gonna do is to take any kind of colored yarn, and I will insert this inside that iron strip so that we can just pull it out like this. So I'll insert it, and then I'll pull it out using the tab that is on the front side. So what I did is to loose the yarn from the inside so that I can punch needle easily, because this is a really important step you need to perform while punch needling. Your thread or yarn needs to be loose from the back side. So facing the needle like this, I'll just start punching the needle inside my monk's cloth, and you guys can see the iron part or the steel part of the needle should be inside completely so that you guys don't mess up. And you guys can see what I'm doing here. So as you guys can see, I'm just punching the border right now, and I'll just keep on punching, and the loops will be forming from the back side, you guys can see. And this is the main step you need to do. You just need to start from the border and just keep on doing the same step until you reach the end. Guys, for some reason our embroidery hoop was really annoying. It was just not adjusting with the cloth, so you guys can see the cloth is very loose. So after I'm done doing the border, I'll just move on to the next line or the side of the border. You guys can see this process is very easy. You just need to follow the steps and you'll be done really nicely. So this is a really easy process. So as you guys can see, I'm done making the petals of the flower. So what I'll do is to cut the excess yarn. So you guys can see I'm just taking some scissors and cutting the yarn off. So nextly we'll use yellow colored yarn to make the circle part of the flower, and doing the same process, we'll just punch it and it will be done. Another thing I want to mention to you guys is just be careful while using this punch needle and just don't prick yourself or your hand, because it is a kind of difficult process too, so just be careful. Now that I'm done with the flower, I'll just remove the cloth from the embroidery hoop, and you guys can see it looks so good. And ignore the big loop on the side, we'll cut it later. So we searched this image on Google, and then we used a pencil to roughly draw the image, and now I'm just gonna trace it with a pointer or a marker. As you guys can see, I have 3 colored yarns, and I'll just use a red color to make the first layer of the heart, because the heart is in layers form. Rest of the process is pretty much the same. You just need to keep on punching, and once you are done, you just have to cut the excess off. So you guys can see what I'm doing, and the process is pretty self-explanatory. So as you guys can see, we are done making the heart, and we have also made other designs, so you guys can see. So nextly, you just need to cut the excess fabric and make some slits or cuts onto the fabric like this, just like I am making. You guys need to just follow the process. So as you guys can see, I have cut them enough so that they can be folded, and you guys can see I am just applying glue, and I'm also spreading it out using a palette knife. So you guys can see you can also use your fingers if you really want to, but we are using a palette knife. Lastly, I'll cut the threads off so that it looks neater, and you guys can see what I'm doing. So you guys can see we have applied glue to all of them, and after drying they'll get really hard. Now as you guys can see, some of them look really bad from the back side, so what we'll do is to use a felt and cut it accordingly. So just trace your design on the felt and just cut it out using scissors. So after cutting the felt piece, I'll just glue it onto the coaster, and we are pretty much done. Okay Okay guys, so now it's time for us to give you guys some punch knitting tips and tricks. So first things first, you have to make sure that your yarn is loose enough, and other than that, we really recommend you guys use this like wooden needle, because we also got a plastic one and that was literally not working. It was thin and it was not working. So firstly, you have to make sure that you're using it in the right direction, so this is the right way to use it. So now you just have to punch your needle inside. The second step is actually optional, so if you guys want to pull your thread out, you can pull your thread out, and we have shown you guys a second option in the making of the coasters. Another thing that can be really helpful for you guys is to make sure that your cloth is tight enough, and that it'll really help you guys out. And other than that, you have to just make sure that you are punching in the right direction, and also you have to make sure that your needle is touching the cloth. Punch knitting embroidery is very delicate. If you pull it out by mistake or anything, it'll all come out. But if you want to do it intentionally because you mess up at any stage, you just have to punch it back in the holes. So the punch knitting process itself is really easy, and we are showing you guys from different angles so you guys can understand how you can do that. So you guys can see there are loops forming at the back, and if you want your loops to be close enough, you have to punch your needle closely to the first punch. So yeah, that is the tip. And here's how you can just change the direction of your punch needling and make sure that your needle is facing the right direction.
False, I pretend